All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, we got a big fight coming up, and it goes at BTC 14 Clash, and that is on March the 5th. It is a main event lightweight bout. Kazuma Maruyama taking on Assenza, and very happy to be talking to Adam once again. How's everything going with the preparations leading into this one, man?
Everything's going good, right on track, right on schedule. I'm always in shape, so, training camp isn't really much different from, everyday life in general.
Yeah, I feel like you have that lifestyle of a martial artist kind of ethos and approach to it, so it probably keeps you readily available for taking fights and staying active, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you love to see it, man. And you had a huge year last year from what I could see there. I saw you got the B2 Fighting Series 2021 Pro Fighter of the Year, so big congrats there.
Oh, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, just what was it like getting to go over there and compete and everything? You got to, collect some hardware there and improve the record and everything. What was that whole experience like there?
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm just happy that, B2 wanted to have me out. It was hard we couldn't fight in Canada, for the most part. And, states, in the U.S., it was, small promotions were doing some stuff, or, it was kind of hard to kind of get in with a newer promotion if you hadn't fought for them previously. And, they brought me out, and I challenged their Southern champion, the first bout of the year. And, it went really well. And then they brought me back, and they had kind of condensed their promotions, because they had, before they had 3 promotions within one, and they kind of had guys fighting all over the place. And now it's just B2, and it's all one promotion. And then I fought their newly crowned champ, Chance Beck, who was, on a crazy fight win streak, all first round finishes. And I was able to, get the title from him. So it was a good year. It was fun. I'm just, happy that they had me out when we had a bit of a drought in Canada.
Yeah, and that's cool that it's now this amalgamated sort of promotion, just as you outlined there. So really would presumably give you a chance to fight the best of the best in that area.
Yeah, for sure.
But presumably you'd be excited getting to, fight for, BTC again and on a more localized kind of level. I was, seeing from an MMA Empire article, they were looking to get you on that BTC 10 card, but just didn't really work out with securing an opponent. So first go around with them since BTC 9. How are you feeling about getting back to competing under the BTC umbrella?
Yeah, it's nice, BTC is my home, and obviously I got a lot of local fans and stuff like that that are always asking, when you fighting close again? And the opponents is definitely something that is a bit of an issue, right? Because I either want to be fighting undefeated top prospects, or maybe UFC vets that are close to getting back. You know what I mean? So that's typically the 2 type of opponents that I'm always looking for. And it's a little bit harder with, everything, Canada being locked down for a bit and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, definitely glad to be back. I'm happy with my opponent, and I'm glad that BTC could, get me a guy like this.
Yeah, and it seems like the drills with Ergys Sigeta are steady as they've been the last few times we've been talking and whatnot. Are you working a fair bit with Ergys as you get yourself ready for this next foray into the cage?
Absolutely. I'm always working with Ergys. I'm still always training with all my teammates and stuff, but Ergys is, one of my coaches, and, the kid is beyond his years, man. He's so good when it comes to just, MMA, wrestling, grappling, all that good stuff. So definitely always working with him. I don't see that ever changing, going forward. So.
Yeah, and I liked the quick pick you got there with Ergys at the last BTC show there when you made the big commentary debut. How was that night there for you? You have fun in St. Kitts and all?
Yeah, it was good just to be out there, support some of the guys I train with, and, see some of the local talent. And it's just nice to be back with a big show in Canada, right? I mean, I know they were able to run the BTC fight in the gym, a few months previous to that. But I mean, to actually have an arena and, 2,000 people there, it was nice to see. And of course, Ergys killed it, covering for Josh. So, he did well. So that's always nice to see too.
Yeah, it just felt like such a relief being at an event like that. I was like, oh, I needed this. It's been a little too long, to say the least.
Absolutely.
but also kind of going through the Instagram there, it seemed like you were getting in work at Uriah Faber's gym. I mean, this was obviously a bit ago, like a few months more so, but can you kind of talk about that experience a little bit and everything like that?
Yeah, I went down, courtesy of my good friend Mike Malott, and it was awesome getting down there, to train in that room. And they just have so many talented guys and coaches and people coming in and out every day that it was just a blessing to be down there, train with those guys, and get some work.
Yeah, and I was talking about Ergys just a bit ago. Like, are you mostly getting in work at like the Burlington Training Center ahead of this one? Are you maybe getting in some work at Aegis MMA? Like, what would you credit as like the primary base or bases of operation?
Yeah, like the primary basis, it's always good to get bodies and stuff. So I'm at Burlington Training Center. I head down to Adrenaline in London, get working with Ronson and some of the boys down there. And then I'm definitely at Aegis a couple times a week, in Oakville, and get some work with those guys. And, whenever I can make it out, I haven't had a chance this camp, but whenever I can make it out to, NTT, I'll do that as well. It's just sometimes you need different looks, different bodies. And, we got a good group, in this area that's been growing for the last couple of years. So, you definitely want to take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, it's just such a stellar, vibrant scene around here, and it's cool that the gyms are collaborating and, doing that as much as they are. I imagine that's something you very much enjoy, just the whole iron sharpens iron, learn from as many minds as you can.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned like being happy with, this opponent coming up here and stuff like that. Like they seem like they have a decent level of experience to their credit as well, and just, some of their victories from like, Pancrase and things like that seem like they're on a good streak and whatnot. So was this like exciting you in the context of like, say, because I remember we talked before and you were a big fan of like Pride from way back in the day. Like, is there some level of like, oh cool, I get to fight like an accomplished Pancrase fighter, or was there another component that excited you?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, that's definitely a factor for sure. And he's a big name out of Japan, and if you watch his fights, he's really well schooled. You could tell he's been doing this his whole life. He's got a good martial arts background, and he's well schooled in kickboxing and in MMA. So it makes it an exciting matchup because I know he's going to bring it. And I always bring it. So I'm looking to put on a hell of a performance, and my end goal is obviously the UFC. I've been doing this for some time now, so it's time to do the damn thing.
Well, I feel like there's a few ingredients that would, be in your favor in that sense. Like BTC has a profile that seems to keep getting bigger and bigger. So if you have a show out performance in a main event capacity, I imagine that would get some good eyes on you, I would think.
Yeah, hopefully, you never know in this sport. And, things have been kind of a little bit different with just how things have been going in the last 2 years. So at the end of the day, all you can do is just keep beating these dudes up and, having good performances and, stay on the win streak and hope for the best.
Yeah, well articulated, man. That's definitely the case. But you talk about like training at Adrenaline and the presence in the London area in that kind of sense. And you also strike me as a guy that appreciates the history of the sport and like London being, such a hotbed for Canadian MMA as a whole. Like, is this a really cool feather in the cap to be, headlining a show in London, Ontario? Like, does that fire you up?
Yeah, it definitely does, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, because that like Adrenaline MMA culture is just so powerful, and just the legacy continues to grow there and stuff like that. So cool that you're kind of part of that fiber there.
Yeah, it's nice. Adrenaline's a phenomenal gym, and obviously all the UFC vets and legends out of there, and Ronson's there right now, and he's going to be fighting soon for the UFC, and I'm sure that they have from what I've heard of the from the BTC card coming up. They have a bunch of new fighters on the come up, and it's just nice, to be headlining a card where they can get all their up and coming guys on there and just keep the sport growing in Canada.
Yeah, it's an awesome thing to see, and it seems like your profile is growing too. Like I was talking about, BTC's growth, but I saw the whiskey sponsorship there a little bit ago. How did that all come about with like Maverick Distillery and the Barn Burner whiskey and all that?
Yeah, that's a bit of a work in progress, and sometimes it pays to be a persistent bastard. You know what I mean? Like that's what I keep saying. So I've been going back and forth with the guy at Maverick Distillery for some time, and we've got a great partnership going on right now, and I'm super excited about it, and there's going to be a lot more to come. So I can't say too much about that right now, but I'm super happy and blessed to be working with them, and just another little brandish thing that's kind of going on the side there.
Yeah, and in that same kind of context there, I was kind of going through the Instagram, and it seemed like you had a Louis Vuitton modeling shoot. Were my eyes deceiving me? Like, what was going on with all that?
I mean, like, I have a side, like, my side gig is like, I've been a model for like the last 10 years, but I mean, I'm a fighter, number one. Modeling is just something that, like, if something comes up and my agent presents something to me and it's good money, I'll do it. You know what I mean? And, during COVID, I actually got a lot more jobs and I had a lot more time on my hands because of all these lockdowns and stuff. So I just did a bunch of modeling shoots for, a few key companies. And that's kind of like what you're seeing. So, like, I run out of shit to post on my Instagram, so I just post some of that modeling stuff. But I mean, I've been doing that for a long time. It's not something that it's not my first foremost choice. I'm a fighter first. My other job is I'm a strength conditioning specialist and athletic therapist. So I'm always pumping my MPC fitness app, and that's the other thing that I'm always working on. But when opportunity presents itself, sometimes you need to take advantage of it. So I had a couple of nice jobs come up, a couple of great offers to do, and that's what you're seeing there.
Yeah, for sure, and we've talked about that before too, just having those different side hustles, and talking about that in the context of what you're doing with the whiskey and stuff like that. So yeah, cool to see you have those different avenues and stuff like that. But yeah, as we've talked about, the fighting is first and foremost and always has been. And to that point, like, is there an ideal strength of schedule you'd like to have throughout the calendar year? Just because, pretty early on, this is going to be a first quarter of the year fight. Is there a certain number of fights you'd like to take this year, ideally?
For me, I'm the type of fighter that does better when I'm fighting off. Like, I know BTC has a show almost every single month, after this show. But, some of those shows are targeted for, up-and-comers, people with 3 or less fights, that. But I'm just trying to stay as busy as possible. So, I'm not looking past this one. But after this, I'm just looking to, get another fight right away. I always stay in shape, so that's not an issue. It's just a matter of, how things have kind of been going the last, 2 years. That's been kind of slowing me down, which kind of has been sucking. So I want to get in there as much as possible. And it was so difficult even last year getting over to, to do those fights in the U.S. Like, every single time I went to the U.S., it was like something else had popped up. There was some other issue. There was, Trudeau stopped Canadians from going over the border and all these other things, right? So, yeah, I just want to get in there as much as possible.
Yeah, well, even when we were talking last year, it seemed like it was pretty contrived getting over there a couple times. And I had a brief entry into the States towards the end of the year last year, and it was even kind of contrived then. So, yeah, I get what you're saying in a certain sense. It's like you got to jump through a bunch of different hoops just with, like, the modern context of what's all going on. So hopefully, less of those hurdles to jump in the coming year.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It was just crazy, right? Like, visas were not, non-existent, when that all was going on, right? Like, I even applied, and my dad's American, so I applied for, like, my dual citizenship just because, it was so hard to get a visa to go over there and fight and stuff. So, there was all these hurdles that we had to kind of, get around just to get 2 fights in, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, for sure. Wild times, no doubt. So good that this is a little closer to home, this fight here. But yeah, always great getting to talk to you ahead of these big fights, Adam. I always appreciate the insights, but just in, being mindful of your schedule, is there anything you might want to kind of add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, man?
Appreciate you having me on. And I just want to pump the actual show, March 5th in London. Make sure you guys get your tickets. From what I've heard, they're already going quickly, so definitely jump on that. Obviously, if you need help with your fitness, jump on my MPC fitness app. Training, nutrition. We have nutritionists. We have strength conditioning coaches, multiple strength conditioning coaches on it. We even have access to, our performance doctors that we work with. So, I always got to pump that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
well, it's awesome you're doing that, and I might have to hit you up on the fitness end of things. My diet is not going so great. But something that will be great is this upcoming show here, BTC 14 Clash. Like Adam just said, it goes down March 5th, and make sure you are in the area for that one there in London, Ontario. Kazuma Maruyama and Adam Assenza testing skills there. And yeah, to reiterate, thanks for coming on and giving great insights as always, man. And just, yeah, looking forward to being there and checking out the fight.
Thanks, brother.